To Congressman Brian Mast of Florida, House Foreign Affairs Committee, served this country nobly and bravely. Congressman, what did you think of what Bill was just pointing out there? That obviously Vladimir Putin is not deterred. He is, he mentioned, of course, the West and its love and fondness for President Zelensky. He didn't say it in so many words, but he did say at the end of a phone call, Congressman, with Emmanuel Macron, Russia will achieve its goals. End of statement. What do you make of that?
I think you look at everything that Bill just laid out there, and the world should realize Putin's desires do not end with just saying we're not going to allow Ukraine to become a NATO country. His commitment is total. He's not going to back off for any reason whatsoever. And people keep talking about the timetable on this. Realize that his timetable doesn't look like 6 weeks or 6 months. It's probably well beyond 6 years. He's been patient enough to act in Crimea, wait during the Trump administration largely, and then act again now. There's a longer term commitment at play here. And I think as we look at warfare, we should all be asking another question about warfare because of Putin raising his nuclear posture in various ways, and the world reacting whenever he says, I'll consider that an act of war, assuming that he now means a nuclear act of war if he's threatening somebody outside of Ukraine. What is economic warfare? Economic warfare, that is a form of warfare, just like cyber warfare, just like the kinetic warfare we see playing out in Ukraine right now. So what is going to be the reaction from the world? Because Putin is playing this out not just in Ukraine, but how will he react to Western Europe and the West over the economic warfare that we're doing, not just with gas prices, but he has substantial cyber capabilities. What will we do when he responds in that way? Will we act kinetically? Will we knock out a satellite? What will be those responses? Because he is assessing the kind of warfare that we are waging on him.
Very quickly, Congressman, your thoughts on sanctions against Russia, particularly Putin. Do they go away after he goes away? In other words, if he is toppled or resigns or whatever, and the Ukraine situation is over, do you keep those on if he stays in power?
We're sanctioning him, number one, with our hands tied behind our back. It'd be like sanctioning a farmer without sanctioning their crops. That's what's going on by not sanctioning his energy in totality. It goes beyond Vladimir Putin needing to be off the world stage. Because of this and their nuclear posturing, politically and with energy, the world needs to ban nuclear demilitarization. Because of his invasion of the Ukraine, the world needs to demand a demilitarized zone along their borders. Because of their long-term goals, the world needs to demand surrender and retreat from the Ukraine and return Crimea. I realize those are very lofty and difficult goals, but that needs to be the world demand for the sake of the world in the future.
Which is also a way of saying those sanctions are going to stick around a while. Congressman, thank you again. Very good having you.
All the best.